Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live on this Father's Day. Thank you guys for stopping by. I see Bobby World in the pre-chat. We're doing a 4K stream today. Hopefully folks can watch in 4K. And just adjust this, doing a bunch of different things. We've got some new software I'm testing out. This is the XSplit software for live broadcast. Normally I just have one into the video side of things, and I've got everything. I've got the shutter speed set to 1/50th, and aperture again is set to f1.4. Natural light here, you can see that the over by the window is kind of a little bit blown out, but with that f1.4 you can see the blurry background. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I can see the chat on screen, which is great. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of go through what I had planned. I want to talk about things that happened this week. The Osmo Action, nice little action cam, GoPro kind of competitor from DJI. Got a firmware update. We'll talk a little bit about that. I've got some ND filters for said Osmo Action. Also, I've got some extension tubes for my Fuji system, and these allow you to do macro photography, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll take a look at some of the shots that I was able to get. The lens unboxing, I was hoping to do a lens unboxing. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I ordered the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 for my Fuji camera, and I don't think it's going to be delivered until after the stream. Sorry for my unshaved look. Didn't really feel like shaving today. Kind of more of a chill day. Sat on the deck for breakfast and just relaxing a little bit. Figured I'd do this live stream, talk a little bit about what's going on in the camera world and video world, and talk a little bit about what you guys would like to talk about. So if you have questions, again, drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just kind of talk about what's going on in the camera world. So I've got new live streaming software. There might be some glitches today, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So bear with me as we go through this, but this should allow me to be able to do quite a few nifty things, like adding lower thirds. And again, sorry for the glitch here. I'll just adjust this chat window so that it looks good. Sorry about that. So we can do some cool things. If you're into live streaming, this is the XSplit software. Also, I want to talk about stop motion. I did a video on stop motion, just a quick 15-second video that I posted with stop motion using the Panasonic GH5. And I have the GH5 here, and we'll look at that, and we'll look at how it can help you with stop motion. Actually, it's a pretty great feature. There's a couple of features we'll talk about for stop motion if you're interested in stop motion. And I can also do Skype if I want to here, but let's talk a little bit about the Osmo Action. So this is the DJI Osmo Action here, and it recently got a firmware update that fixes a few things, and we'll talk about that. But this is the competitor to the GoPro. It's got a front screen, which is its biggest feature, and it has stabilization called Rock Steady, which rivals the GoPro Hero 7 stabilization. I've used this. I did a video on this, and if you're watching this on replay, thank you for watching it, first of all. Second of all, I'll put a card up there to show you the video about the Osmo Action and these ND filters or polarizing filters as well. But this did get a firmware update, and that firmware update did fix a few things. So let's look at what it fixed. Basically, the 8x slow motion video quality has been improved. I haven't used it, but I did see a video on it, and there's definitely an improvement. The video looks better than it did previously. And I did notice that sometimes if you've got a very long recording, it would get out of sync, and that's actually been fixed now. So if you have a long recording, and I haven't tested any of these yet, it just came out a little while ago and I haven't had a chance to test it, but hopefully the video and audio are all in sync. It also fixed some rebooting issues with the camera, which I hadn't noticed, and then some issues with it connecting to the DJI Mimo app, which is the app that you have for your phone. And it's a pretty simple, straightforward update for firmware. You basically open the Mimo app, connect to it. It lets you know if there's a firmware update. You connect, and it will download the firmware update to your phone and then install it onto the camera. So it's a really simple, straightforward install of the firmware update. Also got these filters, and this is not a sponsored video in any way by anybody, but this company seems to make pretty good filters. One of the good things about the Osmo Action is it's pretty easy to remove the lens cover, and this is one of the ND filters that you're seeing on it from Freewell. This is the ND8, and this is the normal lens cover that comes with it. It's just a clear plastic cover, but this set has a number of different ND filters and different strengths in there, and what that allows you to do is cut down on the light that's coming in, so you can get a shutter speed that's, you know, considered to be good, which is the 180-degree shutter rule, they call it, which means your shutter speed should be twice your frame rate. So if you're recording at 24 frames a second, which is what this is streaming at and what I normally record at, your shutter speed should be 1/50th. And on a very sunny day, you might need something like this. And let me just do this. You can see how dark that is. Basically, this will cut down on the light, right? So it stops the light from coming in so that you can set your shutter speed to be lower than normal. It also has a polarizing filter on it. You can turn that, and that will cut down on glare on water and also on glass surfaces, some glass surfaces. These are $80, I think. Again, I did a video on there. I'll put a card, but these are definitely, if you want to get that quote-unquote cinematic look, sorry for that, these are definitely something that you'd want to have on a sunny day. If it's not sunny out, then you can just stick the original filter back on there, or the original lens cover back on there. And this camera has been, it's been pretty good so far in my usage. I can see a day. I go to, probably some of you folks know, I tend to go to Walt Disney World quite a bit, and I can see a day where I just take the Osmo Action and the Osmo Pocket, which is over here, with me instead of taking some of these bigger cameras like, you know, like this Fuji. And I think between those two, I'll be able to get really decent video and pretty good photos. So, by the way, let me know how the video looks, especially if you're watching on 4K, how the audio sounds. I've done some testing. It seems like I've got everything set up right. But if something is not right, please let me know in the comments. I wanted to talk a little bit about stop motion. I'm going to show you this video. I don't know if the audio is going to come through or not. Again, this is new software, but I made this short stop motion video that, well, you'll get to see what it is, but I used the Panasonic GH5, and we'll talk a little bit about after you see this video. Oh, thanks, Bobby World. Yeah, I know not everybody watches in 4K. In fact, probably very few people watch in 4K, but I figured this would be a good test. And we'll see the difference between the a6400, which we're still recording on. I'll switch over to the Fuji again. It'll take a minute or two because I don't have two capture cards. So I'll just switch it off on the tripod. But I wanted to see the difference. I wanted folks to see the difference between the a6400 and the Fuji X-T3 for video streaming and for 4K video streaming. So that was the video. I want to flip over to the GH5. I want to show you this interesting feature that it has for stop motion. It actually makes it really, really easy. So as you can see here, sorry, let me adjust that chat. Give me 1 second. Again, this is all new. Sorry, just give me 1 second to adjust that. And we will get back to it. Okay, so this is the Panasonic GH5. And what I wanted to show you was it has this mode for time-lapse and or stop motion animation. So you can do either. Stop motion is basically you take a series of pictures, and I'm going to show you a timeline in Adobe Premiere where I took 78 pictures to form that last video that you saw. But it allows you to be able to select the mode that you want, and then if you've had some pictures that you've taken before you started this, you can add them to the group. And you can also do auto shooting. So if you want it to take a picture every so many seconds, you can turn that on. One of the things that this does actually is makes it much more simple for you to be able to do stop motion. So I'll show you, we're in stop motion mode now. And let me see, I'll get a picture here. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture. And what you do is you take a series of pictures, and you can see that picture there. And now if you notice, the last picture that I took, if you can see that, hopefully it comes through on video, is superimposed onto the scene that you're seeing. So what you do is you take it, so if I wanted to do this properly, let's say I wanted this camera to move a little bit, I could take it and move it, line it up, take another picture, and it shows you, if you can see that, the last 4 pictures, and then it resets, that you've taken. So you can very easily line things up. So if I wanted to have this thing, the camera jump all the way over to the paper here, I could do that, and now you can see again, kind of like ghosts of your last pictures. And then once you're done, it will actually set it up and create a time lapse for you. So you can tap on the screen and you can see, or sorry, it's stop motion. It's, do you want to actually end the shooting? If you select yes, it will actually create the video for you. And it takes, depending on how many shots, it takes a minute or two. But basically, now that that's done, it will output a video file for you. And you can just use that video file if you didn't want any sound. But what I did was I took those pictures, 78 of them, and imported them into Adobe Premiere. I'll give you an idea on what that looks like. You can see these are all the different pictures that I've imported. And frame by frame, you kind of go through and create this stop motion. And if you look on the left-hand side here, you can see all the different pictures that I took. Again, there were 78 pictures that I took here. And in Premiere, you can just put them all together. You can import them all, select the first one, select the last one, and then just bring them all in. And then you can set how long you want each picture to appear, and that will change the duration of the stop motion. So right now I've got it set to 15 seconds. So if you play through it, it creates a movie of all of the pictures that you've taken, and you can see how that looks. And then if you want to add sound, I've added a little bit of sound to this. So in Premiere, you can add the sound. But if you don't want to use Premiere, the part of putting those images together for you, actually the GH5 can do that, and you can select the duration of each of them. And that allows you to be able to select basically how long that video is going to take. So it's a pretty cool feature. The GH5 is it's an amazing camera. I use it a lot for, yeah, sorry, Bobby, it is onion skin, yeah. So it will onion skin for you, which is a pretty funny term, but I kind of understand where that comes from. And it makes taking these stop motion, especially if you're doing some elaborate stop motion stuff, it really makes it easy for you to see your previous shots, and also to be able to put it together again. If you just want a simple, let's say you were on the road and you wanted to do a simple stop motion, you weren't worried about audio or editing or anything, you could do it right from the camera, transfer it over, and then upload it to your favorite social media site. Yeah, it could be exported. So I also did a video on extension tubes. I talked a little bit about what macro photography is and how you can use extension tubes with macro photography. So these are the Mikey tubes, and you can see they just extend the lens away from the camera. So when you want to do macro photography, if you move your lens away from the camera, you're able to focus closer. And these are, they do have electronic contacts. And again, I did a video on these. I'll put a link to the card up there. But there are no optics here. So the main purpose is for it to transmit EXIF data through these electronic contacts and just get your lens further away from your camera so that you can take macro shots. And Fuji makes a couple of macro lenses, but they're expensive. These tubes cost me either $25 or $40. I forget. I have the Sony version too. One was $25, one was $40. But either way, you're talking about $25 versus $40. Just wanted to show you quickly the pictures that I got from this. And these are pictures of some bees that I took. And these bees don't sting, so you don't have to worry about getting, at least, I didn't have to worry about getting too close. But you can see the detail that you can get if you look at the eyes here. You can see the reflection of the flower in the eyes, but you can see all the little hairs on the bee. It just really allows you to get much closer to your subject and see that greater detail. And here's another one where again you can see all the details. I love macro photography. I've got an Instagram account, and the link will be down below for Bull City Pictures, which is my photography side of Photo Gear Fun. And I post some macro shots from time to time. But I just enjoy macro photography so much. It's interesting. It makes you look at things very differently when you go out, like when I go out now and look at the smaller things, like ants, like flies. On my Instagram, I posted some pictures that I got from the same setup. This is a Fuji X-H1, those Mikey tubes, and a 55 to 200 Fuji lens. And I was able to get some decent shots of really, I'm not sure what type of fly it was, but just a really tiny fly. And I kind of really do like the macro photography aspect. So what I'm going to do now, if you give me a second, hopefully this won't take too long, is I'm going to switch over. So we've been looking at the Sony a6400 with the Sigma 16mm f1.4. I'm going to switch it over, and the video will go blank for a minute, hopefully not for too long. I'll be back, and we'll be looking at the Fuji X-T3 with the Fuji 16mm. So give me just 1 minute. Okay, we're back. This is the Fuji X-T3. It should be the same field of view. Autofocus, there we go. Sorry about that. I've only got one capture card. So now the Sony a6400 is sitting over here, and this is the Fuji X-T3. So we'll do a quick autofocus. This lens, the 16mm f1.4, it's a great Fuji lens. The autofocus probably isn't the best. Just do a quick test there. And this is in its standard picture profile. the good thing with Fuji, the thing I like about Fuji is they have a lot of different profiles that you can use, like classic chrome, Eterna. There are some monochrome picture profiles that you can use as well. So right out of the camera, if you wanted to do black and white, or you want to do Eterna, Eterna is a really good kind of muted, still colorful but not overly saturated, just a good look. If you didn't want to do any color grading, you could use something like that. So this is the Fuji X-T3, and I'm using a Rode Link wireless system. You can kind of see it here for the audio. So the audio is the same. You're not really going to see anything or hear anything different, but this is the Fuji X-T3. And again, we'll just kind of do autofocus. The autofocus on the X-T3 is so much better than any of the other cameras that Fuji has produced, including this XH1. The XH1 is a little bit older than the X-T3, and the X-T3 is really a great video camera. The difference is that the X-T3 doesn't have in-body stabilization, and the 16mm lens that's on it does not have stabilization either. And just one, sorry about that. That's the fun of live broadcasts. So I think I need to change the power setting. I normally have it set up to not shut down. So sorry about that. That's the fun again of live. So if you have any questions, drop them down below. We've been going here for, oh, I don't know, about 20 minutes or so. We're going to probably talk about a couple more things and then try to end this in 30 minutes or so. Happy Father's Day, by the way, to all the fathers watching. Hope you're enjoying your Father's Day. So again, this is the Fuji X-T3 with the Fuji 16mm f1.4 lens at f1.4. It's a great lens. I use my Fujis mostly for photography, although I think I'm going to start using them more for video looking at this. If you want to see the Sony a6400, you can rewind back and look at the Sony a6400. So if you're watching this on the replay, I'll put the time codes down below where we switched. So we started with the a6400 and we're on the X-T3 now. So the Fuji, I believe the Fuji does have a 30-minute limit in 4K. One of the things I like about the a6400, well, two things I like about the a6400 is the autofocus, which is phenomenal. And this Fuji autofocus, pretty darn good as well, as you can see. But there's no limit on the a6400 for recording video. And Fuji, I think, does have a 30-minute, on the X-T3, I think it has a 30-minute 4K limit. And they do that to try to protect it from overheating. But don't quote me on that. Look that up if you're really curious, because I'm not 100% sure about that. Man, I do apologize. I need to, the camera's set to save the battery. I can't, since I'm using it, I can't really mess around with it too much. That's one of the things about not having a flip-up touchscreen that you can change the settings on with the Fuji. So another reason why I like the a6400, perfect example right here, is that, and I like the GH5, is that you can't easily change, especially when you're doing a live stream. I would have to turn it around, you'd see the wall, make the changes, and then bring it back, and it's not a great online live stream experience. But for photos, my Bull City Pictures Instagram, again, I almost exclusively use the Fuji, the X-T3. Have the X-T20, X-T1, and the XH2 I use. So when I'm out and about around my town, Durham, North Carolina, I use the Fujis, and almost exclusively, and those are what you'll see if you look at the Bull City Pictures Instagram. I do like the Sonys for photos as well. The A7 III is a great photo and video camera. It's a little big, and I don't have a lot of lenses for it. I have more lenses for the Fuji system. That's primarily why I choose Fuji when I go out and take some photos. I don't want to. The Fuji lenses are expensive, but the full frame Sony lenses are much more expensive. So I'm trying to limit the amount of money I spend on lenses, which you can kind of go crazy. And again, speaking of lenses, I was hoping that Viltrox 85mm would come in, but definitely going to do a video on that when it comes in. It'll be coming in today at some point, but it looks like it'll be, oh, it's actually here right now. So we'll see if I run out and grab that and do a live unboxing. I'm going to switch back over to the a6400. Give me one sec. Sorry about that. I'm going to go grab that lens, maybe. Live YouTube. All right, we're back to the a6400. Looks like he's unloading it right now. So back to the a6400. The Fuji does have a feature where you can turn it so that it doesn't, when you're live streaming with it, and I've live streamed with it before, that it doesn't shut down like it did there. It's just on the power saving. So which ones do you, which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this on a replay. Does the Fuji look better, or does the Sony look better? Again, the Sony is using the Sigma 16mm f1.4, so the field of view is going to be exactly the same. They're both set to f1.4. You can see the autofocus of the Sony. It's the Sony a6400 autofocus is world class. I don't have face detection on, because if you put face detection on, it won't do things like focus on cameras if it sees a face. So I'm gonna go grab that lens. Give me one sec. All right. Here we go. Pardon the noise as I open this box. This is about as live as it gets, folks. Would have been nice if they had stopped by sooner. Sorry for the noise. Actually, let me mute for a second here so it doesn't get too noisy. All right, here it is. Let's see if we can figure out how to open this. Just tilt that camera down a bit. Give me a sec. There we go. So this is the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 autofocus lens for Fuji. You can see here it's got the X mount, made by a company called Viltrox. I've done some videos on Viltrox products, monitors, and adapters as well. So we're going to unbox this live in real time. It comes with nice pouch, the Viltrox branding. It's your bedtime reading materials if you care about any of that stuff. Of course, tasty mints. Not tasty or mints, don't eat those. And here is the lens. Wow. It's pretty big. It's got a plastic cover with the Viltrox branding on it. One sec. All right. You can see again, Viltrox 85mm f1.8 X mount. Let's get a look at that. Wow. Hello. Hey everybody. It's got, since the prime lens just got the focus ring, it's got this DF branding. You can see that there is a port, USB port, to update the firmware, electronic contacts. So again, it's full autofocus on the Fuji system. There's one coming out for Sony. There's a manual focus version for Sony right now, but there's one that's coming out for Sony that is going to be autofocus. Let me just get this stuff out of the way here. Pretty excited for this lens. Then we're gonna, since I've got the XH1 handy, toss it on the XH1. So this is the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 on the Fujifilm XH1. It's a fairly heavy lens, but good balance. I'm going to do some videos on this. We'll see how the autofocus works. You're not going to be able to see this, but it seems like the autofocus is going to work pretty well. And I've seen some videos on this where they test the autofocus. So that is an unboxing of the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 for Fuji. And again, they do have a Sony version of this coming out very soon. We'll see how this does in a video. I'm sure I'll have a video out hopefully in a week or two. So as it turns out, as hasty as it was and as messy as it is, that was the unboxing of that Viltrox 85mm f1.8. I think it's going to be a great lens for portraits. I don't do a lot of portraits, but I do have my buddy Casey, my cat, who I like to take portraits of, so I'm going to be chasing him around a little bit later after dinner, I'm sure, and see how this goes. But I'll do a full review on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and that will be, again, probably out sometime next week or the week after, I'm thinking, probably. And you can follow us on Facebook, also on Twitter. We have an Instagram account as well, Photo Gear Fun on Instagram. Also, Bull City Pictures is my photography Instagram. I'll have links to all of that if you're watching the replay below. So I think that's going to do it, unless there are any questions. We've been going for about half an hour or so. This is a 4K live stream using now the Sony a6400. We did use the Fuji X-T3 as well. And I'll have the timestamps for each camera there. The Sony has the Sigma 16mm f1.4. The Fuji has the Fuji 16mm f1.4, so they're very similar lenses, at least focal length and speed. That's gonna do it unless there are any last questions. I appreciate you guys watching live, also folks watching it on replay. Testing this XSplit software, so hopefully it worked out well. This is my first live stream with it. Seems like it's got some great capabilities. Just a matter of me figuring out how it works. Hopefully we didn't dropped too many frames. It looks like we did drop some frames. It looks like it got a little jittery, but we'll have to see. I'll watch the replay and see how that works. Thanks, Bobby World. Thank you for stopping by. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Consider it a success. We will see how that goes. I will definitely, this again will be, it'll be posted, I think, right after it's done. So this is Father's Day, and in a little bit of time this will be live. So thank you again, Bobby, for being here live. Thank you guys for watching it on the replay. Get out there and have your photo gear fun. Phil from Photo Gear Fun. I will talk at you again in the next video. Thanks, guys.